So one of the things I wanted to talk about was, and I made some notes about it, that I wanted to talk about sodium, the issue with sodium and sodium intake, some of the foods that you think that you're eating that are healthy at the fast food joints are not so much. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into a little bit of some of the benefits of reducing the sodium intake. And we're also going to talk about some of the tips to also reduce your sodium intake. And if we have some time after, we'll also talking about what I would call is no-go foods, slow foods, and go foods. All right. So first thing, let me do this. And I'm going to share my screen real quick just to talk about sodium. And then we are going to dig into some of these restaurants, the foods that you probably think is so healthy that y'all going out have no problem with. I'm a rough you up a little bit. In love, though. In love. Don't beat the message. Don't beat up the messenger. All right, excellent. Can y'all see the screen? It's actually an infographic that talks about salt. Can y'all see that? We good? All right, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was that the average person, sodium-wise, consumes about 34 milligrams of sodium. 3,400 milligrams. 3,400 milligrams is a lot. The bulk of your food, all the preservatives, everything that you're consuming, it's all got sodium in it. So if it's got to stay on the shelf, they got to put chemicals. But the recommended amount of sodium you should be consuming is around 1,500 to maximum 2,300. So if the average is that people are consuming is 3,400, you know it's way above that. You already know that. So the issue is that if you consume too much sodium, it ends up adding to your opportunity of having high blood pressure. So we want to reduce the sodium because, again, you don't want your high blood pressure to go any higher than 140. It goes 140 plus, you got issues, right? 140, you should already be alarmed. A couple of things you're going to find out if you have sodium, if you have too much sodium, like a Chinese food. A lot of people eat Chinese food because of the amount of sodium in Chinese food. You look at your rings, and then all of a sudden your ring is like, whoa, your hands are puffy. You know, you feel tight around your pants line. That's because the sodium itself makes you retain water. So the fact that you're retaining water, it makes your face look puffy. It makes you, if you're wearing a wedding ring, maybe your hand looks puffy. Maybe your jeans and everything is not as lightly fitting as it was after you had it. Obviously, a lot of the things that are that are loaded with salt is all your processed foods, all your cakes, cookies, pretzels, breads, pizzas, all your frozen snack meals, a lot of your hot dogs, you're getting chicken wings, things like that are outside. And yep, you can go to Starbucks, and if you think there's no sodium in that stuff, there's a loaded with sodium in your Starbucks coffee. Obviously, all your breads, right? Because your breads are loaded with all kinds of different lunch meats that are loaded with sodium. So a couple of things, and we'll talk about the tips after, but just to give you a couple of nuggets, was one, that you want to read your food labels. The only way you're going to be able to control your food consumption is looking at the food labels. The next one is choose wisely. Should you eat at home? Maybe prep some meals and eat those at home so you don't have to rush when you're out and about and go to Chick-fil-A or go to McDonald's or go to Wendy's or any of these other places, because they are loaded with sodium. And the last one is just practice portion control. Even if you're outside, it doesn't necessarily mean, like we talked about the last time, you don't have to eat the whole meal, y'all. You don't have to go to Subway, because Subway's loaded with sodium, y'all. Their lunch meat is loaded with sodium. Loaded with sodium. And it's a lot of processed meats. Because if you ever notice, if you notice when you go to, and I'm not, I mean, they're all the same, but I'm just saying, if you notice and then you have a Subway sandwich, check out how they get their meat. They got it in a big old plastic thing and they rip it open. Well, guess what? In order for that to be there like that, it is loaded with sodium. And then what they do is that they put it out layer by layer on yours. But if it's already pre-cut, in order for it not to go bad so quickly, there's got to be preservatives, and their main preservatives is going to be salt. So I'm going to leave the screen up, and I'm gonna mention a couple of. I have a little cheat sheet that I put together, and it talks about some of the restaurants, and I'm going to bring up some of the ones that you most likely shop at. And you know what? I'm going to drop it. I'll drop this down. I was thinking about it, but I'm going to stop the share. That way, at least you can see me. One of the things is I was going to bring up was Chick-fil-A. Everybody like Chick-fil-A. Everybody's like, Chick-fil-A is my go-to. That's my go-to. Yeah, okay. But let's talk about some of the selections. So let's say you just decided you wanted to get a fried, you get their regular sandwich, their regular Chick-fil-A sandwich. Let's start off with the amount of calories you're getting from that Chick-fil-A sandwich is 430 calories. Just the sandwich. Just the sandwich. 430 right there. But the amount of sodium in that sandwich is 1,370 milligrams of sodium. 1,370 in that sandwich. And what do we say? That the recommended amount of sodium should be 15, between 15 and 23. One of their famous sandwiches is already 1,370. All right, Wallace, well, I don't eat the fried one. I eat the char grill. Okay, well, good for you. This time, the amount of calories you're going to consume is 260, but the sodium is 1,300. It only went down 70, y'all. It only went down 70. So the amount of sodium you're getting from the fried chicken and the amount of sodium you're getting from the char grill is almost the same. You might as well just say they're the same. You would think that it would be less because it's char grill. The only thing you're eliminating is the fact that it was dripped into a vat of fried oil, and you don't have the breading, but you still have the same amount of sodium, and the carbs is about the same. The amount of grams of carbohydrates for the regular chicken is 39, and the only difference is 33 for the char grill. So listen, y'all, it ain't that much of a difference. The only difference that you're getting is that you're probably going to lose about 180 calories, but you still have the same amount of carbohydrates and you're going to have the same amount of sodium. Well, whilst I don't do that. I'm going to do the cool wraps. I'm a cool wrap person. I don't fool with them. I already know them are high in sodium. I don't mess with them. Okay, fine. Let's just round them off. And I'm just going to say on average, any of your cool wraps, cool wraps, the lowest one is 400 calories. 400. So it's 400 calories for the cool wrap. It's 430 for the fried. It's 430 for the fried, and it's only 400 for the cool wrap. It's almost the same. You want to know what the sodium is for the cool wrap? It's between 15 and 1,700. that means it's more than the sandwich you think that you saving with. So let me be clear with this. The amount of sodium you're getting in the Cool Wrap is more than the one you're getting from the fried. That's number one. Number two, that if you had the chicken Caesar Cool Wrap, it is just about the same as you have in the fried chicken sandwich. So the chicken Caesar Cool Wrap is just like you had the fried chicken sandwich, except the Cool Wrap gave you another 1,300 grams of sodium. So all y'all think you're doing something with the Cool Wrap. Not really. It's actually worse. Well, Wallace, I don't do the Cool Wrap and I don't do the sandwich. Whenever I go there, I do the salad because I'm health conscious. Okay. Well, let's talk about the salad then, y'all. The salad, if you just had the salad, I'm trying to be nice, y'all. I don't want to hurt y'all looking at me all mad. If you had the salad itself, one second. Here we go. If you have the salad itself is going to be 240 calories. But you're not having that alone. You gotta have the tortilla strips in there, right? You gotta have some of the raisins. You gotta have some of the corn in there. All right, well, that's fine. If you add all that to it, that's another 80. And then if you're gonna add the honey roasted sunflower kernels, that's another 90. Okay, we didn't talk about putting the chicken. We didn't even say you put the chicken yet. Listen, the salad is actually going to be more calories than the sandwich and the Cool Wrap. The salad is more calories than the Cool Wrap and the sandwich. Y'all think y'all doing something, having a salad. And then y'all not just having a salad because you want to have a side of the waffle fries. Come on, y'all. Are you just having a salad by itself? No. Can I have a side of the waffle fries? Because you said, I'm doing good because I'm having a salad. Okay, well, let's talk about the small waffle fries. Small waffle fries is 280 calories. 280. The amount of sodium in there is 80. So the waffle fries, if you're having a small waffle fries, the sodium's actually less in the waffle fries than the sandwich or the Cool Wrap or the salad. And you would think it would be opposite. Because when you're eating the Cool Wrap, when you're eating the waffle fries, you taste the salt. You taste the salt. But here's the thing. They sprinkle salt on the outside of it to give it some kind of flavor. But the rest of it's really just a potato that's been fried. So if you're looking at sodium, then you're better off eating just the waffle fries. But the waffle fries is a tremendous amount of calories just to eat the waffle fries. So the issue is, maybe you should make some lunch at home. How about you try that? Why don't you try making lunch at home? How about that? You can avoid all of this. Now, let's talk about Taco Bell. Because first of all, I'm not a fan of Taco Bell. And if y'all knew what they put in that meat, you wouldn't be either. Y'all Taco Bell fans. Okay, good. I see a lot of head shaking. No, good. Because a lot of their the meat that they use has a lot of fillers. And the filler is cellulose. And if you use what cellulose could be, the majority of time when companies are using cellulose, they're basically using sawdust. Wood sawdust. That's cellulose. Cellulose is basically a fiber. It's a bulking agent. So you can put wood sawdust in food. You're not going to know the difference, and it makes it thicker. The answer is, does Taco Bell put sawdust or cellulose in their foods for fillers for their meat? The answer is yes. The answer would be yes, that's correct. So y'all Choco Bell fans, if you like eating wood, knock yourself out. It's good fiber, I guess, right? If you was a woodpecker, maybe that'd be good, but you're a human being and you shouldn't be eating sawdust. All right, so that's not really a good idea. Let's go into a McDonald's, and I'm just going, because I hope y'all ain't. Anyway, let's just use the hamburger. I'm just going to be a safe side, and then I'm going to leave that alone. The regular hamburger itself, if you had a McDonald's hamburger, it's about 250 calories. The amount of sodium in there is 520. The amount of sodium in a McDonald's hamburger is 520. The amount of calories is 250. Here's the problem, though, that I'm not even sure if McDonald's meat is really meat. I'm not sure about that, y'all. Let me give you an example, and then I'm gonna get off this one too. There was an article that came out, and actually was from a scientific journal. And this gentleman, it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, he was a businessman, and he was in New York City. He was in a rush, and he took a McDonald's hamburger, and he was in a rush, and he put it inside his jacket pocket, in the inside. And I guess in his rush, in his haste, he got home, never thought about it, and took the jacket and hung it up in his closet. But he never went back to it, like years and years and years. This dude, 8 years later, 9 years later, went back to the jacket, because I guess it was tucked way in the back. Let me tell you something. The hamburger was still there, y'all. The hamburger bread was still there. The hamburger was there. The bread was not molded. So the bread wasn't molded. The hamburger was still there. You saw that there was a pickle in there because it was dried up. And you saw yellow and ketchup. Okay. To me, that's a problem, because we're talking 8 years. First of all, it's a well-known fact that their bread doesn't mold. Okay. So if their bread doesn't mold, what kind of bread are you eating? That's number one. Number two, if the meat was in there for 8 years and didn't mold, didn't rot, I'd be concerned. That's all I'm going to say about McDonald's food. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave that alone. The biggest thing, though, look, I would rather you take the time, and because none of them are any different, y'all. None of them any different. None of any different, because they're in the business of mass production. And when a company is in the business of mass production, they have to make sure that food is going to be preserved to prevent spoilage. So in order for them to prevent spoilage, they got to put preservatives in there to prevent it from spoilage, from transportation, from heat, from cold, from the amount of time it's going to be sitting in that place. Because again, if somebody gets sick, if someone gets sick on their food, that is going to be detrimental to that business. So there's got to be a certain amount of chemicals that are put in the food to prevent it from spoilage. Right? If you make food, if you made a hamburger at home and you left it in your closet for years, you're going to smell something. You're like, honey, what is that smell? Yeah, because it's in there rotting. It's rotting. For McDonald's, anyway. Biggest thing you want to do, if you can be more conscious about your decisions and prep the food, if you know what your plan is for that day, prep the food, bring it with you. You got so many storage containers. Listen, you can make all kinds. In fact, one of my clients over the weekend, what she did was that she wanted to stay on track. that she had made some chicken breast, put it in a tight air sealed container, already pre-made some salad, put those in the salad bowls, and took it with her on her weekend trip. She had a getaway or outing, but she had everything all prepped just because she didn't want to lose the balance of what she was doing. See, even for me, if I'm going to, if in the summertime, if I'm going to somebody's cookout, you know how I ensure that I'm gonna eat all right? I bring my own stuff. Wallace, what you bring? I might bring some broccoli crunch. I might bring some bags of already pre-cut salad, and I'm gonna bring one of my favorite, maybe a raspberry vinaigrette, and I'll bring a ranch or a French for everybody else. But guess what? I'm a little bit selfish here because I know I'm gonna have me a salad. I know I got my vinaigrette, so I can't go wrong there. And I'm sure they're gonna have some chicken or something. You know, they're gonna be some protein. If I know who it is, I might even just out of a nice and small heart, I might bring me a couple of stacks of turkey burgers because I'm a nice guy. But I'm gonna make sure I get one of those turkey burgers because I don't do beef, right? So I'm already pre-planning for myself. I'm bringing stuff that I know that I can have. So even if you're going to bring something, don't go bring a pound cake. Bring something you can guarantee or ensure that you're going to have something to eat that's healthy. Don't bring some potato, that's what I wanted to bring up. Those of you that wanted to say, well, I'm going to go and get the coleslaw. That's what I meant to say. So, you know, I'm not going to have the French fries. Instead, I'm going to have my cool wrap, or I'm going to have my chicken sandwich, and I'm going to get coleslaw. I don't want the waffle fries because that's going to be too many calories. All right, y'all that think y'all so slick. The coleslaw, the calories in the coleslaw, a small coleslaw from Chick-fil-A is 360 calories, y'all. 360 calories. 360 calories for coleslaw? What? What did I say? So the waffle fries has less calories than the coleslaw. The waffle fries have 280. The coleslaw has 360. Where do you think the calories coming from the coleslaw? From two places: the amount of sugar that is in there and the mayo. And if you look at the coleslaw, the amount of sodium in that coleslaw is 280 milligrams of sodium. 280 for a small coleslaw. That really, what is coleslaw? Coleslaw is cabbage, sugar, mayo. Some people put raisins, some people other stuff in it. But again, that's a sugar bomb, y'all. It's a sugar bomb. So y'all trying to eat healthy, you got to take some time and look at the labels before you assume that you're making healthy choices. You must look, and the beauty is now you have right in the palm of your hand. Before you even make the choice to buy something, you can go right on your phone and pull it up. And now most companies are already regulated and they have to have that available. A lot of them eat Chick-fil-A, all of them, they put it right next to it. They put the calories right next to it. Right? So if you're going to make a decision based on what is the right thing and not allow your taste buds to make the decision for you. Or just prep ahead of time so when you go out, you're already set. I'll never go to someone's cookout starving. If you go to someone's cookout starving, you know it's on. It's on because that's a buffet. You go to somebody's cookout and you starving. So you don't want to say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait because I'm going to cousin Harry's house and I know, boy, they're gonna have a spread. So I'm not gonna even have breakfast. I'm gonna hold off. I'm going to hold off until 3 in the afternoon. Okay. Suit yourself. You're going to walk out of there with about 4,000 calories. 4,000 because you're going to be ravaged. And you're going to have your Coke. You're going to have your soda. You're going to, you know they're going to have some desserts. What? You know they're going to have some desserts. So you're going to have your dessert. You're going to have, oh man, you're going to have some dessert. You're going to have the snacks. You're going to have the chips. You're going to be chatting away. You might have a beer or two, maybe some wine. Man, you're going to walk out of there breaking records, tapping yourself on the shoulder. Man, today I did good. I had 4,500 calories today. That's all I had today. That was it. And you pat yourself on the back. Better yet, why don't you just have something to eat beforehand, right? Have your breakfast, have a little snack for lunch, and then go to the cookout. And then the things that you really want, go ahead. Have a hamburger, have a hot dog, have a beer, whatever. But you're not going to go there ravaged, where you eat everything in sight. Right? So think about preparation before you go ahead and do all of this. Prepare beforehand and just say, you know what? I know I'm going to so-and-so's house and I'm going to get down, but I'm going to have a little something beforehand. At least I'm not just going to have a Thanksgiving feast. Make sense, y'all? So the biggest thing you want to do is that whenever you're going out your fast food, you got right in your palm of your hand, you have a phone that can tell you everything that you need to know about what your food is going to be. So the same thing doesn't go any difference. Pizza Hut, right? Another one is not bad. I mean, one of my go-tos is usually Chick-fil-A. I mean, not Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. But again, Chipotle, if you look at the foods also, the bulk of their foods, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of carbs, because you're having a little bit of protein, but you're having rice, you're having beans. Some of y'all are having the tortilla. You're having a big burrito bowl. Yeah, but that's a lot. That's a lot of carbohydrates. And remember what we said is that the more carbohydrates you're going to have, you're going to convert into sugar. And a lot of times we end up trying to eat more than we should because they load you up. They load you up. And what we have a tendency to do is see how much we can eat, because we have the don't throw it away mentality, or some of us don't want to, since we don't throw it away. If you go there, can you tell them, because they'll usually throw 2 scoops of rice. But you have control of that, y'all. You could say, ho, just one. You don't got to be, lay it on me. Sure, I'm paying $8. You need to fill this thing up. What you should be thinking about is, okay, do I need 2 scoops of rice? No, not really. Can I use the beans? Yeah, sure. And if you're going to choose between the two, the better bean nutritionally would be the red beans. The red beans nutritionally is better than the black beans, but my preference is black beans. So whenever I go to Chipotle, I usually get the black beans, but the better preference nutritionally would be the red beans, the kidney beans. You don't have to put all the sour cream on there. You don't have to slam the guac in there. Matter of fact, I'll tell them, look, can you give me some more peppers and onions? I tell them, load me up on the peppers and onions. Load them up. Load me up. Right? So look at the things that you're choosing and don't load up so much on the choices. Ease back on the carbs. You can have a salad bowl. You don't have to put any rice in there. You can put some beans in there. You can put some chicken in there. Maybe you can tell them double the chicken. Double up the chicken for me. And then you can reduce on the other things. Because what you're really trying to do is reduce the amount of carbohydrates and you're increasing the proteins. Right? That's the better way to go. All right. I wanted to give you some ideas because we were talking about sodium. And I made some notes to myself. So I wanted to give you a couple of tips that I was thinking about earlier. So the first thing that I one of the first things that you the best way, one of the best ways for you to reduce the amount of sodium is to put the salt shakers away. Don't add extra salt. What we end up having a tendency to do that we'll put more salt on the food automatically. And some people, man, some people before they even get the meal, they're putting salt in there. Like, what are you putting salt in there for? You don't even know what it tastes like yet. And you're already putting salt in the food. So what you need to do is reduce the amount of salt. You don't have to have a salt shaker on there. You don't even have to add salt. And if you're going to use salt, remember what we said, there's an order that the best form of salt is going to be pink Himalayan salt. The best form of salt is pink Himalayan. The next one is going to be kosher. Right? So pink Himalayan, and then your kosher salt. And then your sea salt. And then everything else, just leave it right there. Forget about the ionized salt. Forget about all the other ones. That's it. That's it. No table salt, none of those. Pink Himalayan salt would be the best one because pink Himalayan salt already has minerals and everything that's in it. All the other salts, the ones that are white, remember, salt is not pearly white. The only reason why salt looks pearly white is because they put in all these chemicals to make that white. So they had to compress it. You notice pink Himalayan salt ain't white. Notice that? It's not. If you got regular salt itself is not pearly white. So what you want to do is you want to think about some of the choices you're making. If you're going to get salt, pink Himalayan salt. And then if you remember, 1 teaspoon of salt is about 2,300 milligrams. 1 teaspoon of salt, 2,800 milligrams. A teaspoon. And a majority of food is loaded already with salt. The next one, when you're trying to eliminate some of the salt, the best way to do that is that there's so many different salt seasonings that are herb related seasonings that are available now that you don't have to even go for salt. One which is awesome, and Costco's has it, and they sell it in the large containers, but it's an organic salt substitute. No salt in there whatsoever, but it's a herbal salt substitute. So if you go if you're a Costco's person, they have a giant thing, and it's organic, and it's a container but it's a salt substitute. No salt whatsoever. It's all herbs. If you remember, the only one that came up with something back in the day was you remember Miss Dash, I think it was called Mr. Dash or no salt. Those are the first ones that came out with alternatives to your salt. So what you want to do is you want to start looking at some of the things that contain less salt. Avoid any of the spices that have salt on them. Onion salt, garlic salt. There's hundreds of different herbs and spices that are available to give you the same taste, but you're eliminating that salt. Another tip would be to avoid to eat the majority of your food from home, because you're pretty much guaranteed, if you're going to a fast food restaurant, it is guaranteed there's going to be an overabundance of sodium and fat, because companies know that you have a taste bud for two things. Your body loves fat and your body loves salt. So whenever you can add salt or fat to a food, your taste buds just go on fire and you say, man, give me some more. That's why they load it up with butter. I mean, butter is a lot of sodium in butter. I mean, you see it. There's butter that's salt-free or unsalted, and then you got the regular one. Well, the regular one has a lot of salt. Even if you're getting butter, do you have to get the regular one? Why don't you get the unsalted butter? Right? You can get, because a lot of the food you're going to get is going to have salt in it already. Next one is to avoid buying a lot of your canned or packaged goods that are high in sodium. So whenever you're going to buy anything that's in the middle of the aisle, remember, if you buy something from the middle of the aisle, there's going to be some chemicals. There's going to be something there to keep it going. So before it leaves your house or before you leave the restaurant, turn it over and not only look at the caloric content, but look at the sodium that's in it, especially things like soup, frozen vegetables, right? Unless you're just getting the regular frozen vegetables, a lot of the ones that are Bird's Eye, a lot of the ones that are the big name companies. And remember, if you're getting the stuff that's microwaved, because now all of a sudden y'all don't even want, y'all don't even want to just cook the vegetables now. Now y'all want to put it in the microwave. Really, y'all? Do you really? Are you really that busy that you got to microwave your vegetables? Come on, man. You understand how much sodium is in there? And you understand that there's got to be chemicals in there in order for the microwave to not destroy it? What do you think? What do you think? You think that you just, oh, that was convenient. Them, they just put vegetables in it. Oh, that's so convenient. Wow. You don't think there's no chemicals in there? You don't think there's sodium in there? You don't think that they had to perfect it so it doesn't get burned while it's in there? Really? The amount of time that you would put in the microwave would be the same amount of time that you could blanch your vegetables. If those that know what blanching is, only thing you're doing is, because that's really what you want to do anyway, is take your vegetables, put it in a pan or a pot, put a little bit of water in it and close it to allow the steam to heat it up. Because really, only thing you're really trying to do is to warm it up a little bit so it matches your flavor palette. A lot of people may not like it raw, but if you blanch it, that means you're putting you're putting a little bit of water in that, whatever you're using, covering it up and just letting it stay in there for 2-3 minutes to allow it to get warm. Because the more you cook it, the more you're losing the fibrous material that God put there to allow it to sustain itself. Because the more you cook it, the more you're destroying the fiber that you should be consuming. A lot of people want to put this stuff and cook it to death. Cook it to death. And then it's soft. Well, then all the fiber and everything that was supposed to be in there to help you get that through your system and allow the body to have bowel movements and clear your system out, you're making that fibrous material soft, so you're not really going to get in the same benefit. So your best bet is just to go ahead, get some actual real vegetables, y'all. Could you believe that? You mean you really, Wallace, you're saying really to buy some real vegetables from the garden? You mean stuff that's right? You mean like produce I don't have to do nothing to? You saying? Yeah. Yeah. Like a farmer. You should act like a farmer. Get everything like you was a farmer. And then just do it from there. Stop trying to cut all these corners. If you were that taxed for time that you got to microwave your vegetables, I think you need to look at your calendar and you got to figure out something wrong. Something is wrong if you that tight. Think about it. You got, not only that, you're talking about soups, frozen vegetables, rice, pastas, frozen dinners, instant cereal, instant pudding, gravy mixes. All of them are usually higher in sodium. And a lot of those you can make yourself. The next one, that you could use more fresh ingredients. Because even like a lot of times, you might get something you got a recipe and the recipe calls for this, and this, and this. And instead you don't want to get the parsley and then cut it up yourself. you want to get the dried parsley and just use that because it's easier. But the truth is you're losing a lot of the antioxidants and everything that's there if you're getting the actual one, the natural one. Second one, you have no idea how long that thing's been in that container. You have no idea. There's really no shelf life to herbs. They can stay there forever. But the more dry they are, the more benefit, the less benefit you're going to get. So there's nothing wrong with getting some scallions, getting some something that we keep in our house is Lord have mercy. Some of the herbs that we usually keep in the house is parsley, cilantro. That's what I was saying. Cilantro. So we use a lot of cilantro. We use a lot of parsley. We use a lot of scallions. We use a lot of onions. We use a lot of red onions. We use a lot of garlic. And we try to, majority of time, that we want to use all these things that are fresh. And it's not really going to go bad if you're using it all the time. But if you're just going to buy a recipe, getting a recipe and just let me get a big stalk of scallions and never use it again, sure, now you're wasting your money. But if you have it available, hey, stir fry that bad boy up and put it in your vegetables. Put it in your omelets. It's a lot of things you can do with the things that you probably may not be using now. Try to leave salt out of the recipes when possible. So you might say the recipe may call for salt, but you can use a salt substitute for the exact same thing. Avoid trying to buy fat-free snacks and condiments, because whenever you are eliminating fats, I can guarantee you're getting salt and sugar. If you if you're getting all your foods and you're making them fat-free, I'm guaranteeing you're going to have more sugar and you're going to have more salt, because they have to figure out how's it going to hit your taste buds to say that this tastes pretty good. Make sure that you read your labels. Read your labels before you leave. Read your labels. Make sure that you're making the right choices. And remember that your sodium level should be no more than 1,500 to 2,300. So if you're looking at everything, you're like, man, this is a lot. Then you're going to have to regroup and start saying, okay. And also, the next thing is to make sure also that sodium is not just, it's got so many other names for sodium. Yeah, of course, you got sodium, but you got sodium sulfate, sodium phosphate, sodium bentonite, sodium hydroxide, monosodium glutamate, which is your MSG, right? You have your nitrates. Anytime it says nitrates, that's all sodium. So they know that you're concerned about sodium, so they're going to change the name and put it in many other forms that maybe you're not familiar with. So whenever you're making choices about the bottom line, if you're going to have anything that's considered as processed foods, there's going to be sodium that's going to be attached to it, because they got to keep it on the shelf life. Shelf life is going to be, that's exactly how they have to utilize it. So the other thing is you're going to worry about is you're worried about the sodium. A lot of times you're having too much sodium, you're going to be looking for water, right? In turn, if you're having too much sodium, next thing you're going to be looking for is you're going to look for some water. A lot of times you're going to get, a lot of your canned goods are going to have sodium in it. Even if you're going to have the beans, let's just use the red beans or black beans. Like a lot of times, we'll make chili or something like that, and we'll use red beans because it's a pain in the butt to soak the beans. So if you're going to use a can of beans, the first thing you want to do is, after you take the can of beans out, wash the beans out. Like all that stuff, that gunk that's in there in these cans of beans, put all the beans inside a one of your condoms, Put everything in there and then wash all that stuff out because all that sodium is in there, in the can. So sure, you can have the beans and you can use them for whatever you're going to do, but wash out the beans out of that can. The second thing about sodium is if you're getting canned vegetables, all the nutrients that was in the vegetable because of the amount of sodium that was in there and the amount of shelf life, all the nutrients are no longer in the vegetables, y'all. It's now in the water. So the vegetables and everything you're getting from the can, because you have no idea how long it's been there, remember, all that starts to oxidize, and then all the nutrients are now in the actual water. And guess what? You dumping out the water because you're getting rid of the sodium and everything else. But you're also eliminating all the nutrients because the nutrients have eased out of those vegetables into the water. So and then they're soft, right? Your string beans are soft, your carrots are soft, everything else is soft. So you're losing all the fibrous material, you're losing all the nutrients. So it doesn't pay to get canned vegetables. Remember, your order should always be one or the two. The weather's starting to get nice, so now we're going to start approaching going back after the produce, the Maryland produce. All the farmers are going to start planting. They're going to get their stuff out. So now, prime time, local produce is now almost in every supermarket. So if you're going to look in the line, usually they have an area where local produce, get the local produce. But now it's not in season, right? So you're getting stuff that should shipped all over the place and maybe not even from this country. So in this case, it might be better just to get the frozen, right? Because the frozen is going to have more nutrients than possibly you getting your produce from the shelf. But the last selection should be getting it from the can because the can is loaded with sodium. And what we're trying to do is eliminate as much sodium as we possibly can. So I hope that made sense. You know, really the big focus was consumption of sodium. The second big focus is don't get twisted around just thinking that you're eating healthier because you're going to these fast food places, because their whole job is to moving food along and getting it out to the masses. And in order for that to happen, there has to be sodium as the form of their preservatives. And the last thing is, and I keep preaching it, that spend more time trying to prepare your food at home. Have it prepared and ready and available for you so you don't have to go out and make the decisions by going out. And plus, you're going to save a lot of money. You can go and blow $12 for lunch. Man, if I'm in a stretch and I bring me and my family, we go to Chick-fil-A, man, they telling me it's $34. I'm like, $34 for Chick-fil-A? What? $34 for 4 people. I'm like, come on. Is it worth it? I don't know. You have to make that decision. But I would rather make something more nutritious and then be ready to go and hit the road. And if I got to have something, I might have a couple snacks that are available, but we must pre-plan our decisions, especially now that the spring and summer is coming. Don't go all out and about, not have a plan. Have your little storage container of things that are available that you can have in a stretch. Otherwise, you're going to get caught out there. You're going to get caught out there. All right. So hope that helped. If you got any questions, now's the time. Anybody, anything that you wanted to mention, anything that's coming up on your heart?
Could you give me the name of the salt substitute again?
The only thing I'm trying to picture what it is. I can give it to you the next time because I just don't remember the name of it, but it says that it's a non-salt substitute and it's organic and it's in one of the large box container. It's about $7, but you'll see it for sure. If you go into the aisle, there's quite a few, but it's called a non-salt substitute. And I just don't remember if they actually had a generic name for it or not.
Thank you.
It's their Kirkland brand, but I don't know if they had an actual name.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it here, and it's organic, no salt seasoning.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a blend of 2 organic spices and ingredients.
Okay.
Yeah, from around the world.
Excellent.
No salt seasoning.
Yep. And it's Kirkland's, right? The Kirkland's one.
Kirkland, it's Kirkland's brand. Yeah.
It is very
It's
good.
like a brown label.
Yes.
It
Yep.
has front.
Thank you.
That is very good. And we use it all the time as a substitute to avoid the sodium, because you're already getting sodium from other stuff.